Charles.
I know, stop.
Attention, vous n'êtes surtout pas obligé de faire la question de votre côté. C'est pas été. Je suis content qu'il puisse prendre la parole. C'est un film un peu compliqué. On va voir comment ça se passe. Bonjour. On va laisser 2-3 minutes au photographe de faire le travail. Je voudrais simplement vous rappeler que la conférence de...
I'd just like to remind you of the fact that the press conference will be in English and in French.
So we have the headphones if you need a translation. Comme tu le sens, dépendant des questions, whatever, comme tu le veux. And may I just remind you not to use your flashes during the press conference. And might I ask you to take your places, please?
Is it in English or in French? Both, depending on the question. If the question is in French.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Welcome to the press conference for Personal Shopper, showing in competition in Cannes in 2016. We're thrilled to have a number of the very gifted actors and crew behind the film with us today. I will introduce them, starting at the far end of the table with Lars Eidinger, who first came to international attention perhaps for his performance in Maren Adé's Everyone Else. He was awarded the German Film Critics Award for his role in Miguel Gomez's film Taboo, and he was also here in 2014 with Olivier Assayas's previous film, The Clouds of Sils Maria. Lars. In Personal Shopper, Sigrid Boisier plays the role of a woman mourning her boyfriend. We saw her recently in Mia Hansen-Love's film Eden. This is director and screenwriter Olivier Assayas's second film in competition in Cannes, following The Clouds of Sils Maria. He's previously presented a number of his films, I don't know how many, including Les Destinées Sentimentales, Demon Lover, Clean, and Boarding Gates, as well as his three-part series, Carlos. Olivier. Her performance as a personal assistant in Olivier Assayas's Sils Maria earned her a César, a first for an American actress, among a slew of other prizes for the role. And in case any of you are waking from an 8-year coma, she was also the star of the Twilight movies. And in a performance that's literally like day to Personal Shopper's night, she also stars in Woody Allen's latest film, Café Society, the opening night film of this year's Cannes Film Festival. Kristen Stewart. Charles Jalibert has brought us such films as Abbas Kiarostami's Certified Copy, Walter Salas's On the Road, Xavier Dolan's Tom at the Farm. This year he won a César for Denis Erguvan's film Mustang. And of course he produced Olivier's previous film, again, The Clouds of Sils Maria. We have a number of questions here, so I'll start with first from Jason.
Hi, Jason Gober from Cineplex.com and Twitch Film. Olivier, if you could talk about the balance between the magical and the realist in this film and trying to get that right. And Kristen, playing a personal shopper, it speaks to sort of the surrealism of fame, of having to have somebody go out for you to do the things that normal people take for granted. I'm just wondering if you could talk about how this role, how you shape this role and how in your own life you have to have those things that you simply cannot do out of a sense of lack of normalcy.
I think what I tried to do in this film was to connect the reality we live in with our own our imagination. I think we live on both sides of that mirror. You know, we do a job and we have our imagination, and also we have the people we lost. We have our memories, and it's a very inhabited solitude. And I think that the character of Maureen in this film is looking for doors. She's looking for passages between those two worlds, and somehow I was, of course, interested in putting this story in the context of the fashion industry, which is it doesn't get more materialistic than that. You know, it's just like the epitome of the materialism of in our modern societies, and to me it was I was drawn to the idea of someone who's trying to escape it and who somehow finds salvation within the invisible of her dreams.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of self-hatred and really like conflicted desires that go along with her attraction to what he's talking about, the whole fashion industry and the shiny things. To be on the other side of that, to feel so incapable, you know, like you can't go to the store and buy, I mean, technically you can, it just could prove to be logistically not worth it. But Maureen is so capable. She's just like incredibly tactile and physically, you know, she's incredibly physical. So it was fun to play somebody who was so sort of like what's the word I'm looking for, dude? Just capable. Sometimes I do feel a little bit like I've had my limbs cut off, and you know, that's not to say that that's a bad feeling. It's just it's surreal. It is different. Yeah.
Question on this side, please, sir.
Jeffrey Wells, Hollywood Elsewhere. Olivier, I think we all know that there's a certain rhythm and a certain way that normal horror films or average mainstream horror films are cut, paced, and I think most people, it's actually a very conservative audience. They like to have the same things done over and over. And what I absolutely love about your film is that you don't cut and paste in the usual way. You don't set things up, you don't pay off all these, and it's exquisite. But I think that it's also interesting that at the very end of last night's screening, everybody booed at the very end. Not about the film. I'm certain they weren't booing the film. It was just the fact that you left them hanging at the very last second. And I was wondering if you would try to explain what that was, what the strategy was.
It's interesting because it happens to me once in a while where people just don't get the ending. To me, it's kind of pretty clear that Maureen finds some sort of reconciliation. That she realizes that all this while there were no ghosts. Her brother was not really speaking to her.
Oh my God, he's answering a question right now. Oh my God, this is crazy. But
it was her own path to find herself and somehow survive the loss of her brother and redefine her identity, not as the twin of Louis, but as Maureen. So to me, it's the closest I can get to a happy ending. I'm sorry, I can't go much further than that.
The texts are imaginary?
No, he was sending the texts. Yeah.
Question here, sir.
Bonjour, Vincent Manilel.
I'm going to be putting my question in French. There's a lot of text messaging, lots of iPhones in the film. Why did you choose that specific means of communication? A question to you and Kristen Stewart. What is your link with technology? Why are you always looking at your telephones? Well, the text messaging, that shows you how irresponsible I am, in fact. Well, at the outset, one of the avenues I wanted to explore in the film was the following. I wanted to make sort of a little experimental film, a film where the whole of the dialogue would be through text messaging. It's not just a written form of communication. It implies a lot of physical things, a lot of fantasy. And then it struck me as a bit excessive. Yet the idea remained. I wanted to build a film where there would be a whole section with a lot of tension owing to the fact that there was a lot of imaginary communication with someone who was trying to seduce the other person, attract that other person. I wanted to show how one could become captivated and fascinated by what appeared on the screen, these sort of disembodied messengers that kept coming in. Kristen can talk to her relationship with technology and the new means of communication. I believe, however, this is something we all share in one way or another. To differing degrees, we become hostage to these means of communication. Sometimes the means of communication end up controlling us. They lay down their modus operandi. It's a bit frightening. It's scary to see that one can become totally addicted, whether I like it or not. Using a mobile phone, the way I'm looking up information on my phone and communicating with my phone, that's an important part of my life. So it should appear in a contemporary film.
Yeah, it's weird how you can engage with something that does not exist and absolutely project everything onto, a simple bit of punctuation. You read into the fact that they wrote 3 dots and not 1, and then there was a space between this word and this one. And we're also kind of, I've been thinking about like distractions a lot lately. I'm absolutely guilty of sort of constant stimula that's not actually stimulating at all. It's just this it's like your brain is firing and it has carved out a pathway and it just keeps falling into that one pathway. It's like something gratifying about the phone, because I definitely fall into that too. But it's just trippy because within the context of the movie, my character is utterly alone and can't talk to anyone. Truly, cannot speak. Every word is like, and the fact that she can sit behind this phone and feel closer to feeling maybe alive or something. It definitely says a lot about how we interact with each other and conversely technology, and it's a little terrifying because I'm definitely it would be a lot easier for me to sit down and write you an email about what I'm talking about right now, but it's nice to engage too. So it's kind of the movie definitely touches on that.
Sigrid, Kristen just talked about the abstraction of texting. Olivier talked about design fashion as being the ultimate in consumerism, and you come from your role comes from a very different world in the film. Sigrid, you're identified in a garden, you're placed in a garden in a real house, and you come from woodworking, something that's very hands-on, very real, practical. Do you see, and did you talk about that opposition with Olivier, or did you see that? How do you see that opposition in the film?
So we're talking about my real life, my practical life at home, and my link with the ghosts and things. Well, I agree with Olivier in what he says. That's part of our lives. We have daily life, the very real, down-to-earth side of our life, and then we have the way we deal with the invisible, ghosts, what is absent. And that's what really touched me in the film. In other words, we're not just attached to material life. We have access to something different. There's a whole invisible world, ghosts, and this is also something that links us. This is something I felt very strongly with Kristen. We developed this relationship through what is missing. Thank you. Good morning. The film talks about a lot of things. It's very fascinating in many respects. There are nightmares, dreams, and also ghosts. Olivier and Kristen, do you believe in ghosts? And if you do, did that help you to film the story differently? And Kristen, did it help you to really embody the character more easily? I think we use the word ghost to express a wide range of things. What we all do is feel we're not alone. We live our practical lives. We go to a festival. We work on a film. How can I put it? Yet at the same time, we have a deeper life, a more private life, perhaps a more real, more true life, which is what links us to our past, our memories, the people we loved and who have departed. They remain with us. It's not just a belief, but they really stay with us, these people who have departed. It's just that in today's contemporary world, people reject the idea. I introduce some very fun things in the movie in terms of the invisible. And these are sort of doors that open. It's a visual, cinematographic way of accessing this world, which we live in as well, which belongs as much to us as our daily life.
Hi guys, it's Tom Westerholt, German Public Radio, ARD. As far as my French is really très mal, I'm just hoping I'm not asking something that's already been asked. Question to Kristen would be, Kristen, as the lead of this movie who has to carry the whole story on their shoulder, would you say in preparation for a role like this, it's easier for you if you actually yourself believe that there is something on another side, or would it be easier if you just don't?
I'm without any religious implication, I'm fairly agnostic on this. I genuinely don't know, but I'm really sensitive. This is going to be great in quotes. I'm really sensitive to energies, and I truly believe that we're driven by something. I'm driven by something that I can't really define, and so I can't necessarily take responsibility for it, and it gives me a feeling that we are not so alone. And in this case, I think to fall into the ambiguity of that actually provides it provides a thought process that is interesting for about 5 minutes, and then if you overthink it, it actually is so debilitating that that's why this movie is scary. It's a ghost story, sure, but the supernatural aspects of it just lead you to, the very base questions, which is am I making this up right now? Is this current reality even such a thing? Is that word ridiculous? Is it just my perception, and compared to yours, it could be just utterly black and white? So living in this sort of gray area allows for people to become closer to one another and not feel like, when you lay your head down on your pillow at night, like you're just going to tailspin into oblivion, because those those questions cannot be answered. But do I believe in ghosts? I don't know. Yeah, I guess I believe in something. It's not a very finite answer, but yeah, it's kind of that's the film. Yeah.
Monsieur.
Hello. Renaud Barognan, Le Parisien.
Le Parisien.
It's your second movie with Olivier. Could you tell us more about your professional story between the two of you? Why do you like to be directed by him? Does he let you do some things you can find in Hollywood or elsewhere, for example, or more? I don't know. Thank you.
It's we don't talk to each other a whole lot. He never answers my questions. there's a communication that is undeniable, and there's a light, there's a flame that he lights under mine ass that is stronger than I have ever felt. And honestly, that's just, I don't know why, but some people, I really try to navigate my career really like by feel, and I just feel him, and the idea that he can be the catalyst of a thought process, and really like allow me to have it, and really lets it be mine, is a really good feeling. You feel like you're creating something with someone rather than satisfying someone. And as much as I really am driven to satisfy, I still feel very much a part of it. And it's just a different version of the job. I like both, but this is my favorite, and I've never felt it stronger, really. So there you go. Yeah.
Lars, what about you? You're part of the family, the SAS family now too. Olivier is known for liking to work with the same people again. What does that give you as an actor? Did it allow you to be creepier? What kind of feedback was Olivier giving you?
Yeah, it's difficult to describe, but I think what Kristen said is quite right. It's when you meet Olivier beforehand, you don't talk about the movie. You don't talk about the character. And for me, this is very important because at a certain point, as an artist, I realized that it's about myself. And in the last consequence, this is what the movie is about. That she finds out it's about herself. And directors who construct too much or who talk too much, sometimes they destroy the eroticism between actors, and sometimes they destroy the eroticism or the sex between me as an actor and my words, for example. And he's very careful with that. And I have to say that my day with Kristen in Prague, where we were shooting the long scene, was one of my best experiences ever acting-wise, because I was so inspired by her way of acting. Because in a way it's very different to the way I'm working, but it's in a way the ideal for me how to be as an actor. Because just to describe it, some people think that acting is about lying or it's about pretending. And I think it's the other way around. And this is something you can see when you play with Kristen, because she's truthful in every moment, not only with herself, with the partner, with the situation, with everything. Is it right? Is this what you wrote me last night? And I mean, this is what I'm always looking for. It's because it's not pretentious. It's not something. I never had the feeling. She's doing something she prepared beforehand. She's right in the moment, and this is what I call the ideal of acting.
Wonderful. Thank you.
You too, dude. The feeling's mutual.
We have a question.
Hi, Brian Johnson from Maclean's Magazine in Canada. I don't think there's ever been a film where we've seen, there couldn't have been, where we've seen so much performance directed through texting. It's incredible. And the way that builds suspense, very, very palpably and tangible, is extraordinary. And Kristen, I wanted to ask you a bit about sort of the mechanics of that. Your fear is very convincing and very contagious to the viewer as you watch you go through this kind of ritual of addiction and fear at the same time through texting. How does that work for you? And although comparisons are odious, any correspondence, how does that relate, for example, to your dealing with the supernatural, the occult, fear and seduction being twinned together in the Twilight franchise?
Okay, so I was scared and that came across. That's cool. And what is, I'm sorry, wait, I'm a little, what are you asking me? Yeah, what's the question? I know that was, can you condense a little bit? And I'm sorry, I should have.
How do you generate that sense of fear out of yourself?
Okay.
And how is it similar or not similar to how you did it in Twilight?
Okay. Well, I just imagine that if I received these text messages, that it would be really scary. And no, it's really hard to speak to that because, again, I'm not trying to affect you. I'm really genuinely not trying to manipulate anyone into being anything. And so, you know, I was surprised every day by how scary the movie was. I thought that it was trippy when I read it. I thought it was dreamy and surreal and really existential. But not to sound too pretentious, but like what surprised me was the adrenaline of the momentum. It's like it just persists. It just doesn't let her alone. And the constant nature of life is so terrifying. Like you can't get away from it. Like right now, I can't get out. I can't get out of here. I cannot get out of right here. And that is scary. And it's just really kind of all the stuff that I was thinking about. I don't know. Yeah, and in relation to how I was scared in Twilight, I don't know. Yeah.
On this side.
Hello, I'm Inger Merete Olsson from Norwegian newspaper Dagbladet. I have a question for Kristen Stewart. It's really a marvelous performance, and I thought very courageous with the stages of nudity, with the sexuality into it, you having the fame that you have. So I wanted to ask you, did you hesitate at all about those scenes requiring nudity, requiring sexuality of you? And how do you think sort of the expressions, if you will, of a sexuality fits into the grief, the relationship with her employer? What is the role that sexuality plays in this story? Thank you.
Well, I'm playing somebody who's so stuck in this cerebral state and so disabled by over-analysis, and that she actually goes back and forth from being so stuck in her own head that she can't even be physical. The idea of being physical with another person is just so not even close to gonna happen. And then she flits back and forth between that and actually, what the hell? Sorry. Between that and actually being like the most realized, absolutely present, animalistic version of herself. I wasn't afraid of that. I'm really I'll do anything. Like I really appreciate all of it. And the only way to really show like somebody who just couldn't connect the dots was to show like extreme versions of a person that wouldn't typically go together. And it is a movie about finding yourself. It really is like it's an enormous identity crisis movie, and I leaned into that. I wanted to really be the most thoughtless, present, naked version of myself I could possibly be. And the coolest feeling in the world as an actor is not like packaging and delivering a notion. It's being shocked by one, and then, you know, someone captures it, you know. And the only way to do that is to really get naked and like reveal yourself. I don't want to play parts where I'm like playing a character. I'm not a character actor, you know. Like I am. It's about yourself always. Like if my favorite kind of work is when I have someone go, "Oh, hey, did you know this about yourself? Because I saw it, and I want to highlight it." And you're like, "Wait, what?" So yeah.
I see a question in the back, sir.
Hi there, Sam Crichton from the Daily Mail. The film, which was brilliant, joins a long tradition of Cannes favourites such as Pulp Fiction or L'Aventura, which got booze at the end. And I was wondering, A, why you thought that might be, and B, does it matter to you, or do you wear it as a badge of honour?
You know, it's... Movies have a life of their own. You know, and what is exciting about Cannes, it's yesterday no one had seen the film. I mean, basically we had not screened it, so we had no idea how it plays with an audience. And now all of a sudden, today everybody has screened it. Like the whole world has seen it. Like, it's everywhere. So it's a very intense, very powerful moment. And it's more like, and it's I suppose it has to do with giving birth or something. People have expectations of a film, and all of a sudden the film is something else, and there is this adaptation between the film and reality. And in Cannes, it's the extreme version of it. So when you come to Cannes, you're prepared. You're prepared for anything, really. You just go with the flow, and happy with what comes to you.
Olivier, imagine you get birth and people are booing,
No, they did in my case. Oh, sorry, I'm going to...
Maybe we can criticize that there were some boos. People were opposing,
He's like, hey, everyone did not boo. There's like, whoa, let's be clear.
Charles, was it a publicity stunt to make sure people would talk about the film?
It was Charles.
We have a question in the front at the far right.
This is Iqbal from Bangladesh. And question to Kristen Stewart. After lots of vampires, now it's a kind of a ghost. So what do you think, which one is better, a vampire or a ghost?
A ghost.
Thank you. Why?
What? No.
We have a question in the front, sir.
Hi, Matt Hoffman, Film School Rejects. Congratulations on the film. It's brilliant. And as we mentioned, a very unusual depiction of the supernatural. Were there films that you drew on about horror films or ghost films for how you were or were not going to show them? And Kristen, did you watch any older supernatural films to influence how you're going to approach the material? Thanks.
When I'm approaching a subject, as a writer, I don't go to movies. I try to forget the movies. I try to figure out if there are any modern or not so modern, in this case, ways of depicting it. And I was not making, in that sense, a genre movie where I would have, just to exactly figure out where I'm at compared to the codes. I was making a film about how you communicate with spirits, and how you communicate with some kind of netherworld. And I went back to the 19th century, really. I went back to this very specific period at the end of the 19th century when people, all of a sudden, they discovered photography, they discovered X-rays, they discovered the Morse code. All of a sudden, things that were unthinkable were thinkable. So why communicating with the dead would be impossible? It was as weird, as shocking, as transformative as any of those inventions. So there was a very short period in time in the mid-19th century to the end of the century where it's something that was real. It was tangible. So I tried to figure out exactly what people had in their mind, what they saw, and you have spirit photography at the end of the 19th. It's the beginning of photography, and people try to figure out if there's a way of capturing on photo those ghosts. So that inspired, and there's a whole body of work. It's kind of fascinating, and that was the inspiration for the images. And also, of course, I went to chronicles of communications with spirits, and of course, like the treasure trove is the book of Victor Hugo, and the way he dialogued with spirits, and he really believed it. and he was a great artist, and he was also a very modern man, extremely aware. So he genuinely did believe. So I thought it would be interesting to make a movie where characters had the same faith, the same belief, the same conviction that created in them the possibility of having a dialogue with another world, and in very simple, tangible ways that somehow influence their ways of seeing the modern world. So, my inspiration to answer in only a few words your question, it's more like I was inspired by symbolist poetry. I was inspired by late 19th century esotericism more than by movies.
Wow. I didn't prepare for this movie at all. I read the script once and I wanted to discover it every single day. So I tried to forget it immediately. No like references or ghosty things. But when I was little, that was actually what I was most genuinely afraid of, though. I wasn't afraid of people like breaking in my house or like monsters. I was genuinely like would sit up at night and be like, "Who's in here?" Like, so it's definitely coming from somewhere pretty real.
Charles, lorsque Olivier vous a parlé pour la première fois de ce projet, comment est-ce qu'il a présenté? C'était quoi le premier?
What was the first image you saw in the film? How did you work on the film from beginning to end? As a producer, it's always very exciting to work with Olivier. He's always looking for new areas to cover in a film. He calls his work into question all the time. He always tries to go a bit further. It's very powerful. As a producer, you have to keep pace. You have to keep up with him. Some of his films are like prototypes. They're totally new. They've never been done before. And that forces one to do new things in terms of production, too. I believe that Olivier creates the same feeling with everyone with whom he works, the technicians, the actors, the producers. In other words, you have to think again about things, imagine new approaches. And that was the case once again with Personal Shopper for me.
My question for Christian. You just did a film with An Li. Would you please compare the two directors, how they direct actors on set?
It's so weird comparing people like that, but Aang is such a good person. I'm not comparing anyone yet. But he's so honestly, contagiously compassionate. Like, he's so thoughtful and sweet and soft and like gentle, but obviously quite. He's a steel train in terms of like what he's capable of doing. But the way that he can coax things out of people is really pretty remarkable. Because also that story is very pointed. What we did was, I think maybe at the end of the day, quite close to what the screenplay originally was, which is something that Olivier does a lot. He makes you think that you've lost control and found new levels of a story and you've really strayed from the script, and then at the end of the day, it's actually quite on the page. With my experience with Aang, there were emotional beats that I needed to hit in order to service that story. In this case, I didn't know what the hell I was doing ever. But they both have a natural sort of, as both of them probably have expectations, they temper them and they do not reveal them to the actors. Like I don't know. They're great. They're cool guys. Yeah.
Olivier, do you work differently with different actors? Kristen mentioned that she likes to arrive on set, things to be fresh. Was it the same with Sigrid or with Lars? Or do other actors want you to rehearse or prepare them to talk about the psychology?
I think when you I think that when you direct, you have to adapt to what the actors also expect of you. For, in certain ways, you have to find.
She wants to talk to me.
So yeah, if anyone wants to talk to me, I'm ready to have a conversation. I'll make it as confused as possible, but I'll try. I'll pretend.
Ready for 2 coffee.
No, I mean it's. I think no. I genuinely think that. I mean, I have a way of functioning that I prefer, which is non-verbal, to put it that way. But then, if someone does need words, I can provide them.
Yeah, because that was one of my experience I had with Olivier when we were running on the film fest in Munich, and we were in the car, and somebody said there will be a Q&A afterwards, and Olivier said, "Can we make it very short? I'm not willing to answer questions or to explain my movie afterwards." And what I found interesting is sometimes I know some actors, also directors, they try to avoid it because they cannot, But with Olivier, it's the other way around, because whenever you ask him and he's telling you things, you think, okay, this is the most clever, most smart, most intelligent person I've ever met in my life. And nevertheless, he tries to avoid to explain himself. And what I like is that there's much more brave, I have the feeling, to let it go, to say, okay, I take Kristen Stewart, I take Lars Eidinger, and I see what's happening. I mean, that's brave. If you make sure that everything will work out at the end, it makes the whole thing smaller, and there's always kind of a very high quality of spirit present, which is nearly a ghost, maybe, which I would call it creativity. This is what's in the room, and he's brave enough not to destroy it.
Le film part, entre autres, d'une confiance en quelque chose qui n'est pas là.
In fact, in the film, you have to place your trust in something that doesn't exist. What existed between us was this confidence. This film was all about what is absent, and that feeds our relationship. We had tremendous mutual trust without even having to talk about it amongst us. Olivier has chosen people who can speak to each other without using words, and that really existed when shooting with Olivier and with Kristen. Words weren't necessary. They didn't have to be. We worked together on the basis of absolute trust.
Not everyone can lend themselves to that either. It really doesn't typically happen. Most actors are it becomes immediate. You're just immediately aware of people that are on that page or not on that page, and he's good at recognizing that, because it really is a bummer when someone is not feeling it and just not aware of that presence, and trying to do something else, and then it's like, I can't talk to you. This is just, we have to fake it. Okay, we can fake our way through this and then just get to the next bit that will be real.
Mais c'est une chance extraordinaire parce que tout existe.
It's quite extraordinary. Everything exists even more genuinely. Everything is heightened because we've been working in that manner.
Questions? Kristen, not only is your character restless on the inside, but you're constantly on the move, racing around Paris from continent to England. Was the shoot exhausting?
Yeah. I did Cafe Society, which is strange to say because it was always untitled. I did the Woody Allen movie before this, and he really wanted to accelerate the making of this movie and go before Woody. And I was like, I simply can't. There's just no way that if I do the job right, I'll be decimated and just leveled, and not light and pretty and fun for the movie, for the Woody movie. So yeah, the exhilaration though, I really was it's very reassuring, an experience that almost, and I don't mean to sound too dramatic or actory and saying oh, it almost broke me, but genuinely, you feel so, I could do anything. Like this movie made me feel like there's nothing that I could put myself through that will ever actually make me not be able to keep going, which is a really, 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 really good feeling. Because I tried. I genuinely, like, if there was any movie that was I was working 7-day weeks. I was working for Chanel at the same time. I was like, it really was, with 16-hour days, 7-day weeks, genuinely. And like, oh man, I've just never felt so good, feeling so bad. So, yeah.
On that note, malheureusement, il ne nous reste peu de temps. I'd like to thank our guests for joining us et surtout merci de nous avoir apporté ce film. Merci, Charles. Merde.